Back in 2006, I remember being blown away by a game called Dead Rising. It came out on Xbox 360 and Microsoft used the game to show off how powerful their console was and what the developers could do with it. It was developed by Capcom as well, the studio behind the Resident Evil series, so they knew a thing or two about zombies. So that's what appealed to me back then, a zombie game from Capcom set in a shopping mall where anything and everything can be used as a weapon. The 2006 me was quite happy. For me, it was the best game at the time. A zombie horde as far as your eyes can see, it was a dream come true. You could see how Willamette, the town where the game is set, you could see how it fell. And you could tell going by the zombie horde on the screen, you could see how cities like Raccoon City fell. The 21-year-old me was quite excited. The good old days. Fast forward to recent times and I had the chance to play the game again on PS4. Did my opinion change for the game? Stick around to find out my honest opinion on Dead Rising in 2020. Before I jump into how the game plays, its highs and lows, I need to talk about the storyline. So if you don't want the story to be spoiled, jump to the timestamp shown on the screen now. You have been warned. Dead Rising is set in a fictional town of Willamette and follows the story of Frank West, a photojournalist who received a tip that something big was happening in the town. As the game opens, you take control of Frank as he observes and takes photos of the madness running loose on the streets of Willamette. I have to say, it was a neat idea because instead of watching a cutscene that shows the carnage, you take charge as a photojournalist and photograph it. It's like the game slowly pulls you in the shoes of the main character.
I have no idea, but one thing's for sure. Whatever's going on down there, it's not business as usual in this town.
A short ride later, Frank gets close to Willamette shopping center, but the military catches up to him. If he has to get his scoop, he needs to be on the ground.
You gotta be kidding me!
So our brave hero asks the pilot to come back for him in 3 days' time, hoping he would have some sort of scoop in his hands by then.
It's Frank. Frank West. Remember that name, because the whole world's gonna know it in 3 days, when I get the scoop.
Alright.
He decides to jump out of the chopper, a move that would have resulted in broken bones if it was an average human being. But not Frank. You see, he's covered wars, you know.
I've covered wars, you know.
Frank meets this guy named Carlito who doesn't tell him much.
This, my friend, is hell.
Yeah, thanks dude. Frank then makes his way to the main hall where he encounters a group of survivors trying to work together. And just like every man who has ever been in a life and death scenario, Frank zeroes in on the hottest chick in the mall.
Hey, this is no time to ogle pretty girls, son. You looking to get yourself eaten alive by zombies?
What? Did you just say zombies?
Yep, this is where Frank realizes that he is indeed dealing with zombies. You also photograph this random old bag here who is angry at you for no reason.
Would you calm down? I don't even know what you're talking about.
Right after that, zombies break in and people around Frank start dying. After having a close brush with mortality, Frank makes his way to the security room where he meets two more people, Brad and Jesse. You know what, I'm going to cut to the chase here because let's just say there's not really much going on in the storyline. Brad and Jesse are from Department of Homeland Security, who are here for the old bag you photographed at the start of the game. His name is Dr. Barnaby and DHS wants him out of that place. Turns out the vague looking dude Carlito is responsible for the zombie virus attack. The hot chick your hetero radar clocked in on is Carlito's sister, Isabel. And Dr. Barnaby was responsible for another zombie attack in a Mexican city called Santa Cabeza.
I should have known. I thought Santa Cabeza was over and done with.
Santa Cabeza was Carlitos and Isabel's hometown, and after the government covered the entire thing, Carlito wanted revenge and exposed the truth.
One day, in my village, the people turned into zombies. Those damn wasps. They escaped from the lab. It wasn't long before they got to work. The zombies spread. The army was called in. They killed everyone.
If you get the true ending, you will find out that Frank has been infected and the military is sweeping the mall, leaving no survivors. Isabel works a serum that will stop the growth of the larva in Frank's body.
If we could extract and administer a large dose of hormones from the corpus allatum of an adult queen, it would potentially hinder the growth of the larva in your blood, retarding the zombification process.
Hang on a sec. I don't understand a word you just said.
And he also finds a way out. After a battle with a tank and defeating this annoying douchebag, Frank and Isabel escape and expose the truth to the world. Honestly, the game's story is not its biggest strength. I felt like the developers' top priority was to create a fun game rather than tell a compelling storyline. And there were a couple of things that I was not sold on. For example, we know people turn into zombies after they die, but for some reason in this game, people started acting like zombies even before they died.
He's turning!
Like they started attacking people like zombies while they were still alive. Honestly, it made no sense. I thought it must have been me who may have misunderstood that one particular cutscene, but the developers did it again 2 more times. Once when Brad dies, you can clearly see his intestines popping out, but he is still talking. And the other time when Jessie attacks the soldier. I mean, she was still alive when the soldier was talking to her, so when did she turn? When did she die? Did she even die? There are a lot of plot holes that I don't want to go through. I just have this nagging feeling that the storyline was not the developers' top priority when they were conceptualizing the game. Their focus was the gameplay, and that is what we will be talking about now. Dead Rising can be played in 2 ways. You play the main story missions, which will give you the best ending and unlock overtime mode. The second way to play the game is to completely ignore the main story and complete side missions like rescuing survivors, defeating psychopaths, which can be fun, and kill zombies in whichever fashion you want. If you play the main storyline, then you will have to reach a certain place at a certain time. If successful, you will start the mission. Failing to do so will result in failure and you will miss your chance to discover the next chapter in the story. The beauty of this approach is that you can abandon the storyline anytime you like. So for example, if you fail a mission that results in a key character dying, you can just carry on playing side missions. You will not get the true ending, but it's not game over. You can either load your previous game or carry on playing. I wanted the best ending, so I reloaded my previous save file every time I failed a mission, but the option is there and I approve of this approach. The unique selling point of Dead Rising is the amount of weapons you have at your disposal. Anything you see in the mall can be used as a weapon, from baseball bats to guns carried by zombified police officers to benches, umbrellas, plates. Everything you see can be used as a weapon. Enter a jewelry store and you can use the pearls to knock back zombies. Enter a sports shop and you can use a skateboard to go around the mall. I found it quite fun really because that meant I was never really out of weapons. I could always find something around me to fight back. I found baseball bats and knives to be quite effective, but be warned though, weapons do wear down after each use and will eventually break. And if there was ever a case where I had no weapons on me, I could always spit on a zombie. Yeah, you show 'em, Frank. You can also use vehicles to go around. I have already mentioned skateboard, but you can also use bikes and cars. Like weapons, if you keep running over zombies, your vehicle will break down. When you're not chopping the undead horde in two, you can deck Frank out in new threads. Some are pretty decent to look at, while others bring out Frank's unbrindled spicy appeal. Oh yeah. Dead Rising also has some RPG elements that allow players to upgrade Frank. You can upgrade Frank's attack, speed, life, item stock, and throw distance. You can also unlock new abilities to help you tackle the undead horde bare hands, like jump kick, football tackle, and many more. I gotta be honest here, a lot of these new skills are kind of useless and I never found myself using them. The only one I used a lot was jump kick. That's it. To unlock new abilities and upgrades, you need to acquire PP. Wow, somebody at Capcom did not think this through. To unlock new abilities and upgrades, you need to acquire prestige points, or PP for short. Oh my god. You can acquire prestige points by completing story missions, killing zombies, rescuing survivors, killing psychopaths, or by taking photographs. Since Frank is a photographer, he can take photos, and depending on what's going on in that photo, he gets points for them. If he photographs brutality, horror, spicy action, or an emotional moment, he will get points for them that will unlock new upgrades and abilities. I want to talk about mini boss battles where you have to fight certain people in the game. They are classed as psychopaths and they range from escaped convicts, killer clowns, a family of gun lovers, and a police officer who seems to have a problem with hot women. These boss battles are optional, but completing them will net you points for defeating the psychopath and saving any survivor that psychopath held captive. Should you lose health fighting these psychopaths or zombies in general, you can regain your health by eating or drinking various items around the mall. You can also use a blender to combine two drinks to create one with special effects. And I must stress here, I really enjoyed what Capcom did here with the survivors. While for the most part you will be told where a survivor is over the radio so you can go and save that person, sometimes it's not that easy. Some survivors are wounded and need to be carried. There are missions where I had to rescue a couple, but the man was seriously injured and I had a choice to either hand a gun over to the guy or convince him to come with me to the safe house. Some survivors will take more convincing than others, so it's not a case of going to a location and escorting that character back. Sometimes it's not that easy. Also, not all survivors will be notified over the radio. You will just stumble across them by accident and it will be up to you to save them or not. Another thing that I need to mention here is that some survivors you bring back to your safe house can start mutiny. They will snap, and if not tackled in time, they will leave your safe house and take some more survivors with them. Right about now, you might be thinking that Dead Rising has so much to offer, so it might be a fun game. It can be fun, but I think I need to talk about its issues, and trust me, this game has loads of them, both technical and gameplay design issues. I will start with the technical issues first. The game has a lot of pop-in issues. You could be walking about thinking the coast is clear, and then suddenly, bam, out of nowhere, this zombie horde will appear in front of you not too far. It's not game breaking, but it certainly is annoying, especially if you're running low on health or resources. For me, it was not a big issue. Annoying, yes, but not a big issue. It turned into a big issue when I was escorting survivors. I would be trying my best to take routes that will see me not confronting any zombie horde, and then out of nowhere, like Randy Orton's RKO, there will be a bunch of them appearing out of thin air in front of me. But speaking of survivors, the AI in this game is dumb. And when I say dumb, I mean they are dumb. Their pathfinding is totally messed up, and I often found them stuck behind objects. But that's not all. I found them engaging in combat when all they had to do was follow me. This is a perfect example of how dumb the AI is in this game. When playing the story mode, you have to defeat this dude who is carrying this big ass gun. A single hit from this gun can send Frank flying back. So what does your AI buddy do? Run straight into the bad guy's line of fire. No cover whatsoever. So not only you have to protect his stupid ass, you have to protect your own and defeat the psychopath. Oh, and if your AI buddy dies, you fail the mission. But the stupidity does not apply to just friendly AI, it applies to enemy AI as well. I saw enemies get stuck or standing still in their place. Later on in the game, the military rolls in with machine guns. If you shoot at these soldiers, they just stand in their place and fire back at you. They don't dive for cover, roll for a dodge, nothing. They just stand there and take it. If you think that's bad, I managed to defeat the final boss by chucking him in a crowd of zombies and then blocking his path to prevent him from climbing up. The zombies did the heavy lifting for me as they managed to get his health down to a level where all I had to do was land in a good jump kick. Considering you get a lot of points for escorting survivors, you will have a very infuriating time escorting them. I know I did. Another issue I have with the game is the draw distance and how it limits my attacks when it comes to bosses in the game. There were a couple of times when I had my target in sight, but because he was at a certain distance, I could not do him any damage with my handgun. He was standing in a straight line and there is no way I could have missed, but he could see me and could hurt me just fine. And that happened loads of time in the game. And please don't say it's probably the bullet drop. It's not, okay? There is no bullet drop mechanic in Dead Rising, and if there was, I sure as hell didn't notice it when the enemies fired at me. Now I'm going to talk about game design issues, and yeah, I know this is a game that was released in 2009, but nevertheless, these are still issues. For some strange and absurd reason, when you aim your gun, you cannot strafe left, right, front or back. You're just stuck in one place. So you cannot pop in and out of cover. You simply stand there and hope you can aim and pull the trigger faster than your enemy. Another issue is the damage you take from enemy fire. When you take damage from enemies, it will stagger you. And if you are confronted by more than one enemy, they can chain link their attacks and take a significant amount of health points off from you. Another thing which I feel like I need to mention here is that for some boss battles, the developers included this timer where if you damage the boss, they will be made invincible for a couple of seconds. This issue was particularly visible when facing Carlito in the underground tunnels when he was chasing me in his van. The amount of bullets I wasted because of this stupid time to damage was ridiculous. At one point I even quit the game because I could not find any other way to beat him. Also, for some reason, the developers included a time to damage feature for the bosses, but not to Frank, that prevented enemy soldiers from chain linking attacks. I also have problems with the way the game handles upgrades. I don't know about anyone else, but when I have to upgrade characters in an RPG or any other game with such elements, I focus on maxing health so I can stay in battles for longer, power so I can pack more punch, and speed for obvious reasons. In Dead Rising, there's a bar on top of health points that fill up every time you collect prestige points. When the bar fills up, it unlocks an upgrade or ability at random. I did not like that because it felt like I was not in control of my character. For a game that offered so much control over how you can dispose of zombies, it certainly did not offer me any control over how I could upgrade Frank. It was particularly infuriating because I wanted to level up and unlock more health points and speed so I can run faster and get to my mission objectives quickly, but I kept unlocking these abilities that I never liked or hardly used. I also noticed collision issues in cutscenes. I noticed Frank's chin going through collars. In fact, not just Frank but other characters too. At one point I saw the character's hand go through her own body. These issues are not game breaking, but they certainly break the immersion. After all of that, what is my honest opinion of Dead Rising? Well, after finishing the game once, I did not want to replay the game again. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot to do in this game. The replayability factor is high and dispatching large number of zombies is always fun, but the earlier mentioned issues were a bit too much for me. Everything from the infuriating AI, the shoddy shooting mechanics, and some technical issues ruined the experience for me. And if I did not want to replay the game because of these issues, I cannot recommend it to anyone knowing full well they will encounter the same issues as me. The game may have been impressive back in 2009, but it did not age well. Dead Rising is currently available on Xbox Live, PSN and Steam for £15.99, which is around $20 I guess, I'm not sure. There's also a Nintendo Wii version of the game titled Dead Rising Chop Till You Drop, but we don't talk about that version. Thanks a lot for checking out this video. If you liked the video or found it helpful in any way, consider giving it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, then consider hitting that subscribe button. I'm a part-time YouTuber, so your engagement with the channel will help me a lot in a long run. Peace out people, and stay awesome.